If Sam Bankman Fried pleads insanity, he gets to avoid prison time completely. All the billions of dollars that he stole from customers would go unpunished. Could this really happen? Could Sam Bankman Fried pass off as insane? Or does he just suffer from elite delusion, the kind we've recently seen from award-winning TV shows and films like The White Lotus, Triangle of Sadness, and The Menu? Sam Bankman Fried lawyers could see the insanity defense as their best chance for getting the least amount of punishment for their clients. It wouldn't even be a surprise if this is the path that the lawyers choose to take, because the amount of convincing evidence backing up against Sam Bankman Fried just keeps growing. Check out my other videos for more information on that. Since Sam Bankman Fried's co-workers and ex-lovers, like the former CEO of Alameda Research, Caroline Ellison, are taking plea bargain deals for reduced sentences in return for evidence against Sam Bankman Fried, maybe his lawyers will get so desperate that they'll make a Hail Mary play, plead the controversial insanity defense. The whole idea behind the insanity defense is individuals who suffer from a mental illness may not have the ability to understand the nature and consequences of their actions. Therefore, they shouldn't be held fully responsible for them. But this is ridiculous. Sam Bankman Fried isn't insane, right? There's no way a judge would buy this. Sure, he's behaved in some unusual ways and told some unbelievable lies, but he's only been doing it for his own benefit, not because he suffers from a mental illness. Well, what if his lawyers could use his behavior to argue that Sam Bankman Fried is so unaware of his actions, so detached from the reality of his consequences, that he should be considered as having a mental disorder? Perhaps one of the most compelling and recent pieces of evidence his lawyers could use is Sam Bankman Fried's new Substack blog, which he started while under house arrest at his parents' home. If you haven't read them, they're full of gaps, lies, and finger pointing at everyone else but himself, the person who actually founded and ran the fraudulent company. This is no different to the apology tour he went on with many media outlets, in which he played the unknowing idiot behind the wheel and evaded any difficult questions with, "I don't know how that happened." His blog posts are so delusional because they entirely avoid the topic between the relationship of FTX, the cryptocurrency exchange he founded, and Alameda Research, the trading firm he founded. Sam Bankman Fried's blog post focuses entirely on the downfall of Alameda Research, which he claims he's not connected to since it was run by then CEO Caroline Ellison. He argues that it was Alameda Research and Caroline Ellison's failure to sufficiently hedge against the risk of an extreme market crash that caused his downfall. But his blog posts leave out three important and obvious facts which enable this FTX fraud. So important and obvious that his lawyers may see this opportunity to present their client as a deranged man who's completely detached from reality. First fact. In his blog post, Sam Bankman Fried still behaves like Alameda Research was an entirely separate entity in which he had no awareness of how the decisions were made. Even though he founded the company, was in a former relationship with the CEO of Alameda Research, Caroline Ellison, and both FTX and Alameda Research employees shared offices. Recent evidence provided by Caroline Ellison also tells a story of Sam Bankman Fried continuing to have direct and overriding control of Alameda Research's operations even after he formally stepped down as its CEO in 2019. Second fact. In his blog post, Sam Bankman Fried completely admits Alameda Research had a secret exemption from margin collateral and liquidation requirements on FTX. This kind of arrangement, which also allowed Alameda Research to use customer funds from FTX, could only have been set up with insiders from the very top of both organizations. This all happened despite FTX explicitly promising users they'd never lend out their funds in any form, never mind to their own sister company, which then took the customers' money and kept losing them on bad trades. Third fact missed out from Sam Bankman Fried's blog post is he forgot to mention the $8 billion of FTX's customer money which was not properly secured, and was instead unaccounted for in a hidden, poorly internally labeled fiat account controlled by Alameda Research. It's these lies of omission that are so blatant, so absurdly obvious, that they could invite speculation into his lawyers' minds about his state of mind. After all, it's not as if the lawyers are proofreading or approving his blog posts, so they could make the case to the judge that their client is unhinged and unable to follow their guidance. Think about it. Would a fully sane and rational person in Sam Bankman-Fried's position behave the way he's continuing to behave? Would a man that literally faces life in prison write a sloppy, error-ridden article in which he even misspells the name of the law firm he's worked with for years? It implies an extreme detachment from reality that could be borderline insane. It all brings to mind this great article by David Morris on CoinDesk about the elite delusion Sam Bankman-Fried and his parents may be suffering from. Sam Bankman-Fried has been raised in a privileged and elite society in which all the opportunities have been given to him and success has been available every step of the way. He's been praised for his intelligence, achievements, and generosity, so it couldn't possibly be him that caused the downfall of all of this. Nor could it be his elite parents, Stanford law professors Joseph Bankman and Barbara Fried. They couldn't have raised a financial criminal. Perhaps this family suffer from such a high level of elite delusion, they're unable to comprehend what's happening to them. So much so that his mother was even heard laughing several times when her son was called a fugitive, and his father put his fingers in his ears as if to drown out the sounds of his son's Bahamas court hearing. One person is showing a complete lack of respect for the courts of law, that which he's a professor of, by the way, while the other is literally blocking out something which doesn't align with his worldview. Both of them have shown a complete lack of personal moral responsibility. They truly believe they're the good guys, the ones making the world a better place, whether it's through their political donations or their misuse of effective altruism. Or maybe they just thought this is all an inconvenience, and their connections in the world of business and politics would eventually come to rescue them from all of this. Individuals like these that suffer from elite delusion live in a fantasy world in which all the wonderful things they've been told by mommy and daddy are true, and everything they have, they either deserve or have earned. I mean, how else can you explain that one of the biggest financial criminals the world has ever seen is the son of professors of corporate tax law and ethics from Stanford University? Maybe this is why all those who suffer from elite delusion end up hiring lawyers who protect others that also suffer from elite delusion. Despite all of this, some will argue that the insanity defense is a necessary tool for ensuring individuals with mental illnesses receive the appropriate treatment and are not unjustly punished. While others argue the insanity defense is often misused and allows defendants to evade responsibility for their actions. We don't know for certain if Sam Bankman-Fried is clinically insane, but it is safe to say that he's delusional. It just remains to be seen whether his lawyers decide to emphasize this fact as part of their defense. So if you don't want to miss out anything important on what happens next, then subscribe for more.